at a very long stitch length, you're going to take that and you're going to pull it like you were gathering, or aka easing, because guess what you're doing? Easing. Okay, I was very kind to you with this jacket pattern, and there's not a lot of ease in the sleeve. I have done some patterns where you have probably 1.5 to 2 inches of ease in the sleeve, and that's again only if the person is out of proportion in their bicep, because then you need a lot of ease to go over the bicep. Otherwise, if you're a regular proportionate person, you don't need that much ease. You just need enough, and you want to go do that. You saw that I was pulling it. You always pull from one side only. You don't pull from this side and then from that side, because that'll lock your stitch, right? So you pull from one side. You can pull from either end, it doesn't matter. But what you want to make sure you're doing is that the easing is mostly at the top and a bit in the front and then toward the back, because we need a little bit more ease in the back so that we can move our arms. Then we're going to position it. You have your lining pulled out so it's nowhere around, and then we're going to position it in our jacket. We're going to match up our notches, so there should be a notch right here in between the two seams, and that's the center at the bottom, and there should be one down here that matches it pretty close. And you want to make sure you're doing a 1/2 inch. And as you're doing it, don't worry about this line in the sleeve matching up with this line in the garment. They don't necessarily match up. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and it doesn't have to. Okay, it's not like sewing like a single sleeve and the under part of it matching up with your side seam. It's not the same thing. Then there's a notch at the top you want to match. And all you want to do, like with this one, is just like always when you're easing a sleeve in, make sure you don't have any tucks. And just ease this really in. So slick. Matching your notches, so make sure you cut your notches. Even though Cole said he would come and teach you not to ever use notches. Don't believe him. Such a silly man. Use notches, because it just makes life so much easier. Now you've got your chest piece that you are also attaching, right? Because it was sewn to the armhole. So just be careful of that, as well as your back stay. Yeah. So look, that is a easy sleeve to set. I have, like I said, sometimes when you have 2 or 3 inches, you have to then do the easing stitch that I showed you and pull on it, and then take it to the iron and steam it and press it and then steam it and press it and hold it, and steam it and press it and hold it, and do all of that long before you ever can attach it to here. Right? This one you don't have to. So you just attach that, and then you, first things first, as you look, you open it up and you check to make sure there's no tucks anywhere. Oh, that's a pretty sleeve. No tucks. So on a sleeve, your seam allowance goes toward the sleeve. So go and press it. Make sure it's toward the sleeve. Use a ham. Get the ham going. Put the ham right here where my hand is. And press. Just lightly steam it. Lightly steam and press to get that over. And if you look, this is about 1 inch off. That's just pretty much normal. And right here, oh look, that one actually matched up exactly. Okay? Don't worry about trying to match them. It does not matter. That is not part of it. Okay. So then next what we're going to do is we're going to put the sleeve head in. So you've got your sleeve head, and if you fold it in half, you have one side that's wider than the other. I always forget to do this so you can see it in here. Right? So you have it like this, and one side is shorter in width than the other. Go like that, and you're going to fold it in half to find the center, and then you open it up, and you are going to stitch it into the seam allowance so that the small part is on the top and the bigger part is toward the sleeve. And you find the center, and then you hold it in place. And you stitch as close to the seam allowance as you can. You can go into the seam allowance a bit, that's not a problem. Just again making sure that you're not catching the sleeve and making any unnecessary tucks that you're going to have to then unpick. And the sleeve head is really important. If you forget the sleeve head, the sleeve just doesn't look very nice. So you look at these suits and you had no idea there was so much understructure, right? And that's what makes suits so beautiful, is all this amazing understructure. Okay. So I have stitched this on like this, so it's just right on the seam allowance, so that when I turn it, then the big part is next to the sleeve and the skinny part is like that, so that then when I open up my jacket and look, already I've got a little bit more volume happening on the top of my sleeve. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to get your shoulder pad, and remember, this is what the curved part that goes against the outside, so it's opposite of what you might think. So this goes like this, so it's curving like that, kind of opposite of the sleeve itself. You find the center, you put that on the center, and then you're going to go like this, and you do not machine stitch this one. So you get your needle and thread, and you're going to very loosely stitch over that like this, because like David said, machine stitching will crush this a bit. So if you notice, I'm just taking a couple of stitches to hold it in place, and then super loosely, making sure that edge is right next to the edge of the fabric on the seam allowance. I am just very loosely going to stitch that in place. Don't really know what's going on with this needle and thread. Whatever. Okay, and it feels like you're going opposite because you are. Your sleeve is going this direction, the curve, and this is coming this direction. So that when it is actually on your body, it's going the right way. I'm just going to get rid of some of this stuff that's going on here because I don't know what's happening. This will just be a part that David gets to edit out.
History.
Yep, gotta love it. Alright, get rid of some of that. Okay. Alright, so you can see it's just very, very nice loose stitch, about an inch to half inch to an inch from each other. Going through the seam allowance only, and making sure that that is going right next to the edge of the fabric of the seam allowance. Single thread is fine. You're just loosely attaching this. Remember, it's going to be inside the jacket. There's going to be lining. It's not going to have any wear and tear on it. So we don't have to be crazy with the putting it on. Just nice and loose like that. A couple of stitches at the end, hold it in place. Ta-da. You see it? Then we're going to go like this, make sure everything's smooth, and then we're just going to attach it to the seam allowance only up here, wherever it happens to catch onto the shoulder seam. We're just going to do a couple of stitches. I usually do like an X or something, or just a mess of stitches, 3 or 4 stitches, hold it in place, and make sure you're only going through the seam allowance. Ta-da! And then you turn it like this, and you've already pressed yours, and it's so beautiful. And just look how pretty that is. Look how pretty. It's so nice, eh? And it just falls. You got all the right understructure, and you pressed it, and everything's just beautiful.